Could you change the title? Would that be any problem? The title would be Let Us Reason Together. Let us reason together. Well, what do they mean by curbside? If, oh, you drive up and they give you a plate and you keep going. Is that right? That don't sound bad. Right, right. Right. Well, which one do you think would be? You think the come and get the food, and then you go out. We'll have chairs. They can leave or they can eat. Yeah, that's right. If people come up and they don't want to do the prayer, it, we'll have a flexible program. We'll have the tables outside since it's going to be nice. We might put something over it because on that shady spot. Well, it's birds. The birds won't come up there if we, you know. We'll have a multiple program. Hopefully the eat will be a reasonable size. We'll leave out of here as soon as we can. We'll be out there serving the food. If people come up and they want a plate, they could have it. If people want to do the prayer, every time it get to be about 20 people, y'all could come up, do the prayer, 5-minute khutbah, and you know, we just keep it moving like that. Yeah. Okay, they tell me. Okay. It will that they're gonna have a spot or nothing like that. Right. Well, and then I might drive out just to see what it looks like, because they may not want to put it on the thing because yeah. Well, that's good because see, the people gonna come. If they come pick up their meals, they gonna have a donation box right there. So, does it have any indication of how it's been going? Right. Okay. Hmm? Oh, that's one of them big ones. That's all right. That's all right.
But it was barely even, it wasn't moving like at all. Okay.
No, 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 no. Worry about it. Those they don't usually bite, do they? Because there's tons of them out there in the workout room. Yeah, they just look big. They technically are big. Okay, let me have 1 second here. Okay. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. The title of today's program is Let Us Read Together, Reason Together, and this is Sunday, the 17th, I believe. Yes. I'll begin by opening from one of our flyers. This was not flyer. This is As-Sabiqun, March 2002. How to think, believe, and act after 9/11. As of September the 11th, 2001, let it be known that a state of open warfare exists between the United Forces of Kufr on the one hand, led by the bandit election-stealing President of the United States, who follows in the footsteps of his father, also ex-president and ex-CIA chief George Bush, and the sincere, truth-loving Muslims of the world on the other, led not by the TV terrorists, that is, intelligence operatives of the Western media, but the true global Islamic movement. The criminal constitutional dictatorship of the USA has elevated the 2-decade-long low-intensity war against Islam and Muslims to an all-out crusade. In this state of war, every means of trickery and deception, as well as every physical weapon, including weapons of mass destruction, have been used against the peace-seeking, freedom-loving Muslims of the world. As Muslims, it is not necessary to deny or apologize for or congratulate the bringing down of the World Trade Center in New York. For we truly believe that this incident had nothing whatsoever to do with Islam or Muslims. Instead, we were certain that the incident would be used as the original 1993 bombing as a pretext to declare war on Muslims and Islam. This method of operation continues the traditional U.S. policy of creating the climate and developing the atmosphere which would allow this greedy imperialist system to legally pursue its predetermined plans of expansion and oppression. Then I say, for quick references to the pattern of criminal conduct, look up the origins of the Mexican War. That's 1847. The origins of the Spanish-American War. Abraham Lincoln used to have a nickname. They called him Spotty when he was in Congress. Because he used to, on Capitol Hill, he would go up and say, show me the spot, he'd be on the map, where Mexico invaded the United States. So he did it so often they called him Spotty. They said, show me the spot on the map where Mexico, in other words, the U.S. invaded Mexico. Mexico didn't invade the U.S. But you got to remember now, they got California, Arizona, New Mexico. They had already just stole Texas. They got Colorado. My goodness, they cleaned house. Nevada, they got 1/4 of the continental United States. They stole 55% of Mexican territory from Mexico. That's what it was, 55% of Mexico. That was after Texas. If you added Texas, it would probably be about 60% or something like that. Because anyway, then it says the Spanish-American War, remember the Maine. Does anybody remember the Maine? The battleship that, well, I don't know if it sank, but it blew up in Havana Harbor in 1898, and they blamed it on the Spanish. Of course, there's no way the Spanish could have did it. I mean, good God Almighty. But they got a war. Now you got to imagine, they already had the 6th Fleet over in the Philippines area when it happened, like it was some plan. When I grew up, they used to call the Philippines the Philippine colonies. So Philippines got their so-called freedom from America technically in 1946. But when I was young, they still referred to, the books referred to the Philippines as the Philippine colonies. Forget about Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, all that down there. They got all that. That was all Spanish territory. Okay, the Guatemala coup d'etat in 1954, the Arbenz government, and the Gulf of Tonkin, 1964. Okay, that's just a pattern of the United States government. That was called How to Think, Believe, and Act After 9/11. We kind of had a feeling, we had a good feeling in 1993, not a good feeling, but it was a feeling. We was wondering how the United States was going to justify their attack on Muslims. The World Trade Center #1, 1963, was clear. It was them that did it, and it justified, 1993. Yeah, they got everything. When they already had the Death Penalty Act, they had all them laws that they got later on. They had them already in 2011. You know, the Anti-Terrorism, Death Penalty Act, all that stuff. And then George Bush, they said something to him. He said that the Constitution is just a piece of paper. So anyway, we had good feeling, not good feeling, but we had an idea which way they was going to go. Also, we have, this is from 2009/24/2010. I call this it comes from an idea we've always had about battle space. I just have a few notes here. So I got what I came for, 1989. In other words, we got what we revert to original plan. With the benefit, or revert to the original plan last year. Then I have a little note that means late or early this year. That's 2010. With the benefit of 2010, then it has 2010. Remember, it has archives. It has what we was dealing with, documentary, you know what I mean, chronicalization and all of that. We were well into that by 2010. reconfirm our mission. Very clear picture of a mission, very clear picture of the battlefield, battle space. I even have that in parentheses. Comprehensive understanding of religious and historical trends and reality. And we know what we're up against. USA addiction to pipe, needles, arrogance, and its habits. You know, it has a habit of arrogance. So almost habit is, but in a way it's not an addiction. It's the way you deal with things. You do this by habit. So it could be that you're addicted to the habit of doing things the way you are. Change your life, then we have self-image and picture. Really, if you want your life to be better and to improve, what does it say? Change your picture of life. What do you want life to be like? Your self-image. Because psychologists and sociologists believe that the human being will act according to the picture that they have of themselves and how they fit into society. Process of change, improvement, change habits. Believe it or not, I have the same. I had said I had here, 12101, 12105, that we just want to reiterate, even at this time and before, that we know that everything that's been happening comes from Allah. We knew it then, we knew it way back when, and we knew that the amount of attention that we get from the system, that Allah's hand is protecting, holding their hand back, and it have them acting in a certain way. And we know that we couldn't make them do that. That if they acted on their own, they would just say, nigga, get rid of him. It's too much time. We waste too much money. I mean, they put money into this. I mean, it's like having several teams, and it's 24 hours a day. You know, like they used to say, wake him up and put him to sleep. Then it says, be happy, of course. In other words, your struggle, you don't have to. But if you want to do a good job and you don't want it to be stressful or anything, you have to train yourself to not only want to do it, but like doing it. And along the way, you can put your own little joys and fun. That's why we harass Boss Man so much. Because that's what we did in Jahiliyyah. You know, we like doing that. You know, and no matter what they do, you notice we don't take it personal. Even the assault, most people take that personal. I don't take it personal. It's just if I talk about Boss Man and he got all those facilities, all of those people, shoot. It ain't no big deal. Of course, I do feel a little, I said, well, they was really trying to work on the Negro. But you know, I didn't even lose consciousness, and I was 73 years old then. That's not bad. And you could tell that they wasn't playing. You could see the ropes in my head, you know, they looked like waves or something. And pieces of flesh sticking up. They was actually busy. And my protection would set me up anyway. Like if I'm sitting down, you know, like if somebody come in and they come to you from the right and you sitting down, When you're young, you might be able to get up, but when you're older, I have to push down just to stand up, just to push up. So with somebody on top of you, you can't get up. So it don't take long to think. So you pull him to the side and you're going to roll over on him. But imagine, when I roll over on him, that leaves the top of my head. Can you imagine? Of course, I couldn't see her. Can you imagine Khadijah she can, like they used to say, haul off. And whack! And I could feel it pretty, I said, this is actually happening, da-da-da-da-da. And we rolling along. But I didn't take it personal. You know why? Because we get what we know what to expect. And it says Joseph and his brothers were the instrument of Allah's will. We've been saying that it seems like it's new, right? We just got it right here. Right here. I can pass the paper around. You can see it. Then, always got along very well with big niggas. Okay. I'll get to the point in just a second. Where's one of the other ones? Okay. We'll start here. It's got to be, I can imagine, it's close by. Okay. Our current and future programs. This is one of our old Re-Africanization of Islamic movement in USA. De-Israelization of Islamic movement in North America. Battle space awareness. Islamic dialectical idealism. College of Islamic Movement Studies. That means strategic management under conditions of repression. Agricultural liberation. And on top of that was Muslim cultural replacement. Remember we discussed the Muslims making their own, let's call it halal. Because the spoken word with a drum is daf, they used to call it. It's halal in Islam. So the Muslims should begin to make their own. All they got to do is express themselves, what they're coming in contact with today. And they do that over a short period of time, they're going to get better and better and better. And even their own genre, movies and stuff. They should make their own movies. Okay, if they don't, that's part of what we're going to do too. Anyway, all of this stuff right here is basically what we was going to do, what we plan to do, and what it's been on the agenda. High quality physical fitness program, that means running the hills, Oakland Hills daily, weightlifting, boxing, stuff like that. Now, let's get to the point of all of this. We said, let us reason together. Our program, our Salatul Jummah, was predicated on the patterns of declines in America. Well, everything we got here was based on the patterns of decline in America. It's not a new thing. It's not a new phenomena. We've been literally, technically certain of it for I don't know how long. Let me see what we can pop up here. Here's another one. As-Sabiqun, National Survival of Masjid al-Islam, that is in America. Iran, number 2, international survival. So we're saying national our survival inside of the United States. As-Sabiqun, our survival. That's 2010. And remember, that's only 10 years ago. Now, to other people who are younger, 10 years ago is a long time. And a lot of the stuff, what we started off with, that was 2000, that article came out 2002, and that was 18 years ago. For most people, if they're in their 30s or even 40s, 18 years ago is a long time ago. 18 years ago is a part of this cycle. Let's see, we're at the end of that cycle, going into another cycle. Where we are today, the cycle don't just come to like grades, you know, you was in the 5th grade, you finished that, now you're in the 7th grade or 6th grade. That's not the way our cycle is. Everything overlaps, you know. If we would have think about what stage we were in now as a people or as a movement, we would say this is right around the conquest of Mecca. Why would we say that? You have to remember, the conquest of Mecca was when the Islam was now Arab phenomena on the Jaziratul Arab. So that means all of its people, all its resources was now at the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, at his behest. He set the stage at Mecca when he conquered Mecca, right? Abu Bakr went to the next, when they purified the Kaaba, cleaned it all up of all its idols and all that stuff. Then the next year, for the Amir of Hajj, that was Abu Bakr, Siddiq radiallahu anhu. But while they was at the Hajj, while they was getting ready for the Hajj, before they finished, the first part of Surah Tawbah, Barat al-Mushrikeen, was Ali radiallahu anhu was sent to deliver that message at the Hajj. Now the next year, which was the 10th year, this is the Hajj that we follow, the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That was the last Hajj. I think he lived 82 days or something after that, something like that. In our transitional ebb and flow periods, going to the same direction we've been working on all the time. Our mission has been upgraded a little bit, but it had never changed. Never has changed. So if you were to add up, where are we now? In this, well, we would be right at the conquest of Mecca. Because something the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, what are you going to do with us? That you're an honorable man, you come from an honorable family. That's what they were saying last week. But they still, you know, they changed their tone. And he said, La tatraba. I say to you the same thing Joseph said to his brothers. Why? Because technically now, he's got a big job to do. He's been doing it very well. But he wants his brothers to help him. They're not there just sitting around, we're going to sit around and run the camels around a circle. Joseph's brothers are participating with him in distributing food, especially Benjamin. You know, they're there to do certain, now they taking part in this. They must do a good job because the people are happy with whatever happened. Well, to 400 years later, they say, y'all got to put them in slavery, stuff like that. There's hints that they took over the cattle industry and then all of that. But we created not the heavens and the earth and all between them, but for just ends. And the hour is surely coming when this will be manifest. So overlook any human faults with gracious forgiveness. So Hijrah 885. Now, the policy that we have is a Quranic Hadith type policy. We're saying to all of our brothers who worked diligently for the enemies of Islam, they were in the front row. They worked diligently to stop the movement, to divert the movement. But here's what we say. They were total and they were a complete failure. So we have an open invitation with forgiveness for everybody. Overlook it, forget it. That's what the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam did. The Meccans was pretty bad people, man. They wasn't playing. I mean, they come a couple of times for bloody war. So we said in number 3 here from 10 years ago, when you come to Masjid al-Islam, you're on the front seat of present history. I think we could maybe even agree on that. If you come to this masjid, the daily news, the environmental circumstances that we're living under is clear and present. And then we talked about chronicling before, actors and chronicles. Okay. Then we talked about writings and history. Even our DVDs over the last years, when we inculcate a staff, because one of the big things about getting stuff done is standard management. You plan, but before that, you have to have everything organized, right? You have to staff your organization. So therefore, you have to have everything planned and organized and staffed. And then you even have a budget. That's the difference. Over the last 40 years, we've never had a budget. But going into this, we'll have a budget. Why? So we can plan more stable. You know, when you got to go hustle the money in the middle of doing it, that diverts you from what you're doing. But if you got a budget, you're almost certain to be able to do it, or some of it, because you got a budget. Okay. So now, this thing about, we call it Strategic Negro National Cooperation. Strategic National Negro Cooperation. Yes, yes. Now remember, when you're fighting the monster, this thing about star tracking them and all that, that means that whatever it is that's going to happen has to happen on a bigger, more sophisticated, but open level. Just like you can't do nothing underground, really, but blow up a couple of buildings if you're underground movement, you know, like Weather Underground, or, you know, those guys. Or we had a few of our brothers in the BLA. That was the last stage of black liberation, was underground. You can't do much. Because you can't change the people's minds and ideas. You can, if you got enough going on, you can destabilize a city or a country if you got enough people doing it. You can make everybody jittery and mad, and then they might start thinking about what to do. But if you bring a government down through that destabilization process, your people don't have any experience with running the country. All they have is blowing it up. You blow it up. But then you got to come and they said, like in the Mexican Revolution, first Pancho Villa, they had Madero there, and then they wanted, then they killed poor Madero. Then Pancho Villa was, he was running things for a while. He said, you could keep this, and he left. Then Emiliano Zapata came. And Emiliano Zapata, when you first see him, he's for land reform. The reason he didn't get along with Madero because of land reform. Madero, Francisco Madero, he wasn't going to do no land reform. Because he was a big landed guy, but he was a good, democratic, lovey-dovey fellow, but he wasn't going to do Emiliano Zapata. They wanted land reform because they was all peasants down there. Okay, so for a while, Zapata was doing the presidency, and so a guy came in and he said, we want our land, we want our markers, and then he says, who are you? I'm so-and-so. And then he said, Emiliano Zapata went and got his old bullets and guns, and he said, I'm going with you. And he left the presidency. You know why? Because years ago, when he was a peasant, he was a middle-class guy though, he came in and he told the president in those days the same thing that guy was telling him. He said, I gotta go. He was kind of natural. It was good like that. But they didn't have the Mexican Revolution. They didn't have skill. They had skill in robbing trains and shooting people and stuff, but they didn't have management skills. That's why the Mexican Revolution shifted over to guys that were basically crooked. That's what they was. Calles was crooked. They only had one good president. They called him Tata Cardenas. He was back in the 40s. He was a good guy. The rest of them were just like all the presidents you see in Mexico. So if we're going to be reasonably successful, right, we have to have a movement that is trained. That's where all of this stuff comes in. So in our next phase, we implement all of these things. Why? We have to have a system of masajid that we build. The first one will be on the McDonald's program. We call it the McDonald's. We've mentioned that before a long time ago. It'd be like a house like that next door, or you just put a big box on it. That will take about 100 people, But we'll buy an old house, we can already do stuff like this, right? And we'll have a 6 months training program for imams. We have a 6 months training program for imams. Good guy to do that would be Zaid. Because Zaid up at the masjid, he does all right. Zaid would be good for that. So he could hook up the curriculum. The things we have to study. Now, we're not going to have no studied imams from overseas and all that dumb stuff. Like these little mixed guys are running around here that they have in these masajid now. That they said, no, 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 no. We're going to have the old time imams. We're going to teach them. See, they was thinking that we would be the last generation of imams that came up in the masjid, and they say, okay, you be the imam. So now you got to study Islam, you got to lead the people, you got to do all of that. That's on-the-job training. That's what Zaid Shakir meant at UCLA that time. He said this Islamic movement cannot be on-the-job training. He's absolutely incorrect, because it proves itself. None of the people that went overseas and studied Arabic and all of that, they know more literally Islam than any of us. And they do not and cannot do anything, because they go off ill, not amal. Remember that old article, ill, and you got to combine knowledge and work together. Okay? So, and plus, experience is the best teacher. Yeah. Experience is the best teacher, not the books. People read all them books. The other thing, too, is, I was listening to one guy, he said the same thing we've been doing for 100 years. The one that wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad, kind of not a Japanese guy, but he is a Japanese. Yeah. That's him. I listen to them a lot because he's of the theory, you go to school and they run you crazy. Right? That's what he said. He says, you want a job, you want to go to school. That's what you're going to get. You're never going to get rich, though. You're not going to get any power. You're going to go get a job, and they're going to teach you how to do a job. You're at their disposal. You know, that's been our theory all along. It's not a theory. I want you to study all the people who are imams. Zayd and them, Hamza Yusuf went overseas to study under his sheikh. Siraj went to New York University, then he all of them. I'm not against education, but you remember the old guy, Carter G. Woodson, one of his first book was Miseducation of the Negro, right? We're miseducated. And that sweet flowing Arabic, I don't say nothing about it, but I'm never impressed. I remember the first time back in the 80s, might have been UCLA again. It was LA for sure. I'll tell you who it was. It was Cat Stevens, Yusuf Islam. He's a good guy though. But he came into Islam and that he was doing tajweed and the Egyptian guy next to me that I came to, he was almost in a swoon. And he was saying, those are special rules that he's using, all that. And they were so overwhelmed, you know. Later on, I got to know him somewhat, and so I like him. But plus he was white. I said, good God Almighty. I mean, but tell the truth. Everybody that come. That's why all the fitna people, for Oakland, our first big fitna was a whole crew. They was down in Texas at this place called Baitul Deen. It was a big joint, all paid for by some government, and they had the guy technically was a Shia sheikh, and so the government rolled in on their head. They loaded them up with them Negroes. Then after they all in the flow, somebody got drowned in the swimming pool. They all came out to Oakland. And the children had learned a lot of surahs with that beautiful tajweed stuff. They was all Negro. Well, a couple of white folks too. Oh, it was beautiful. They thought that was going to turn the Iranians and us against, not against, but they was going to suck up all the oxygen, because they got what? Those beautiful children. Can you hear that Quran and stuff? But those Iranians in Oakland, Berkeley at that time, was sharp. They knew what was happening. And they came, they tried to do their thing, and it didn't work. Guess what? They did like everybody else. After a couple of years, they packed up and left. The whole crew packed up and left. I'm saying is, the system has all of those resources. The system can start a movement today, and tomorrow they could have all the masajid full of people, or start a movement from the ground up. They can do it. I've seen it many times. They just load in on you. They open a masjid next door to yours. They do whatever they want. They can do that. Since they can do it, I think that's going to cause a lot of trouble on the day of judgment. Because the centers that they build usually fall in line with the one that in the Quran where it says, don't pray in that masjid. It's a masjid of fitna. Foundation of, yeah. Right, but this masjid is built on a good foundation. Anyway, let me get back to the trend. So, here we are with a big job to do. We can't do it by ourselves. We're going to need other people. And this is the time to do that. You know, you're sitting around waiting for a sign. Well, you're not sitting, but you're going about looking for a sign. This is a sign. Clear as a bell. You know, we had two big signs recently, and this year, and this is only first part of the year still. It's only May. In January, Soleimani, Qasem Soleimani was martyred. That was good enough. Instead of going back to California, I stayed here. I stayed here because that was the answer to everything. One of the big answers we talked about it almost every Sunday. Allah hooking the Shias up. The Shias is going to Najaf and Karbala by the millions, right? 20 million, 25 million, 30 million. One of the Iranians down at the Daftar, in fact, one of the leaders down there, he said, do you really think it's 30 million? In other words, he was saying they might be exaggerating the numbers a little. I said, it ain't no difference between 20 million and 30 million. So if they exaggerating 10 million, so what? All them people, 2 million people, 3 million on a super year go to Hajj every year, and 20 million, 25, let's meet in the middle. 25 million going to Najaf and Karbala. To prevent bombing, they have to have a little security. They do. But it's not a security like the security is against you. And all along the way, they have people with food. They're not selling you food. They're giving you food. They giving you, oh, you want to rest here? We got a little tent right here. Just pull in and take a rest. Oh, you and your family can rest. You know, go in there and lay down for about an hour, 2 hours. Then you leave, and it's all along the way. They feed you, right? They rest you. And it's a wonderful atmosphere. I guess, anyway, let's get back to us. What are we going to do strategically? It might sound ridiculous to say, well, we want to work with the Negroes. What Negroes? The same Negroes that's been working against us all the time. But if you think about it, all they got to do was do like the guys did in Mecca, right? All they got to do is, they don't even have to take their phony shahadas. They could just say, okay. And we organized from right there on the spot. Zaid, you set up the study curriculum, right? He's good at that. He was over at the University of what's the name? Right across the street. American University, right? He's been to Syria. His Arabic is perfect because I sit there and watched him, go through his little stuff there. He's got a crew that he can relate to. He could bring that crew on board. They could be the instructors. They could be instructors. Remember now, if they incline toward peace, you incline toward peace. If they got something up, if they ain't did nothing in 40 years, if all them Negroes who we now love, who they've cut our throat weekly, monthly, yearly, annually, biannually, every time they got a chance, and we're still here, technically something is wrong with the white man and his plan. Right? This ain't never happened in history. Right? So it only thing we can think of is that Allah got his hand there protecting us. They haven't been playing. Mukhtar and them wasn't playing with me. They was using all they might. If they could have killed me right there, they would have did it. And what would the police said? Nothing. They wouldn't have even came by. When they raided the masjid, the Negroes, a few carloads of police came by, and the police took a picture with a little phone camera, and the other police blocked the way so the people that had all the guns that was attacking the masjid could run away. And the people said, man, they blocking it so the people can get away. They wasn't running after the people. Because when the police come, all the Arabs and the others, they split. Wasn't nobody, I don't see why, wasn't nobody chasing them. Can you imagine the fitna that we have dealt with for 40 years? This fitna. That when I came home, I might have showed y'all a letter from the parole people. They said, we don't want you to start no masjid or mosque or no Muslim church. We don't want you to do that. That was in 81. We don't want you to do that. It's 40 years ago, 39, same thing. But I'd already been out just a little before that. This is going back to I got out and opened the masjid in 1980. When I opened the masjid, all of a sudden I'm back in jail. I left that out. And they're saying the reason they was given on there that I did this, that, and other My kids was sitting there listening, and they was old enough to know what was going on then. They said, yeah, Dad, they said such and such and such. And then they said, well, we can't keep him with that, so you got to boost it up a little. That's what they're saying in my house. Then didn't make a difference, but what you read, you saw it said, we do not want you to be. You take care of your physical stuff, and we want you to get a job. That's what they said. Okay. That's from then. Forget about the other years before when we was dealing drugs and I was going to tell on them and stuff like that. Then they went around to all the people that was working with me, the other dope dealers. They said, oh, so you're going to be a witness for Big Hank over there. Well, you ain't going to deal no more dope, I know that. If you testify for him, why, do you have some trade or something that you do, some office work you can do? No, I don't deal dope. You know, we all know what I do. Well, you can't testify for him and do it, but if you just don't testify, why, we turn our head for 3-4 years. They're friends, they're nice guys, but they said, shoot, man, that's a license. I have 3 years, 4 years of dope dealing license. Do you know how much money I could make in that period of time? I don't have to run and jump over fences and duck behind. That's what the police told all of my witnesses. So I'm sitting there with all of this information. That's why we did so much information this time. Redundancy. Why? Over and over again. So the stuff pile up. We got enough stuff on them to win 50 cases. Why? Because we already went through this in 73 when they come around. This is not new. This plan starts back some time ago. This is nothing new. That's why we don't jump up and down about stuff that happened. But in January, when they assassinated Soleimani, that's a sign. We've been talking about it, and that's what it is. So something going to jump off. So that's why I stayed here. I was going back to California, remember? I was headed back, going back to California, finish up my case and stuff. Going to beat the white man in court, going to make fun of him. It don't make no difference. Then this stuff started happening. I said, this has never happened in history. And then you wait a while, and then you have to think about it. Wait a minute. What is the situation? When it said let's reason together, that means let us discuss, let us analyze where is the world today? Where is it? Okay. The United States is in a fight with China. They did pick with China. And this calling names to China, and China said, look, man. So the U.S. think they bad. They was able to, in 98, to break the back of the tiny tigers. You know, Malaysia and all them. They was really doing good. And even, what's the name? Mutahir Muhammad said, yeah, man, the Jews done us in. He said, what's that? Soros. He said, Soros did us in. But that's a code name for Yahoo. That's in 98. Can you imagine the tiny tigers, all of them, Malaysia, well, Singapore is still doing good, but they cut them back. A couple of years later, they hit Japan. Remember how everything was Japan, Japan, Japan? 20 years ago? 25 years ago, everything was Japan. Japan was buying up hotels, Japan was buying up such and such, and they had gave that to Japan. How? America just ruined itself. It had all these big raggedy cars, get 9 miles a gallon, 4-barrel carburetors, 500 cubic inches engines. That's the way the Cadillac, even in my day. One year, the ones before 1970 was 472 cubic inches. After that, they was 500 cubic inches. Can you imagine? That's a big, giant engine. Then 73, the oil thing, you know, with the Arab thing, boycott. Gas changed from 35 cents to I don't know how many dollars. It just was, man, that was a shock. And guess what? Negroes were still buying them old Cadillacs. The white people got rid of all them. You know what they was driving? Mitsubishis, Toyotas. Everything but them big old American cars. America cut its own throat because those big old raggedy cars they made was designed to last 2 years. Then they would tear up. They did, when I first started buying Cadillacs, you get 5 years and 50,000 miles. That ain't nothing. But after 1970, 12,000 miles in 1 year. Right? It was by design. What do they call it? Design. Obsolete. That's right. Design obsolescence. That you design into your product that it becomes obsolete after a year or two. You got to get another one. They was doing it for the money. For a while it worked. But when that gas jumped, Japanese is an island. England is an island. German has super technology. When I left here and I went to Scandinavia and I'd go through Germany, everybody over here was just starting to buy Mercedes-Benz. I said, man, Mercedes is taxi cabs over here. Like Fords and stuff. They're taxi cabs, like police cars. And everybody over there is jumping up and down about Mercedes-Benz. And Mercedes-Benz is a taxi cab over here, you know. But gas in England had been high all the time. Gas in Japan was high all the time. They're islands. They don't have anything on them. They had to make good cars because the people can't afford gas. They can't afford it. They have to have a little bit of gas, take you a long way, and your car can't be breaking down. And them Hondas would run. You can see them out there now. They're still running. Hondas. At least there was a few years they was really a good car. You know, I hope they're still the same way. But American cars, even in the 80s, they was junk. And then, you've heard about I don't want to keep you long, but deindustrialization of America. Does anybody remember that book, Deindustrialization of America? When in 1980, Chrysler had a lot of trouble, and Reagan come in and he quashed the unions and all of that. And all of a sudden, all the white folks with money was sending all their stuff overseas to get made. First, Japan was getting in on it. But for the last 30 years, China, when it really got elevated, China picked up everything. And China went to people wearing them Chairman Mao suits and not having enough to eat to being the engine of the world. Can you imagine? They got a call to China for some masks. They was last week, a few weeks ago, right? Because couldn't nobody, ventilators, China make their ventilators. Can you imagine? These stupid people, their medicine and everything comes from China. I remember in the 90s, in the 90s when I was in South Africa, a lot of the people there are big business people, and I would see in their warehouse, all the boxes had Chinese writing on it. And they would have delegations meeting at the house. You know where they were? They was Chinamen. That's in South Africa. I bought Sakina a little doll. It had African skirt on and stuff. I looked at that boy and it said China. That was in 98. Okay, the point is this. No Negroes, nobody else caused America, the white Americans, any problem. They sent those big white folks with all the money, sent everything over to China to get made. And the Chinese, they thought they was going to be stupid, but the Chinese did one thing, or two things that came up. Number one, the Chinese said, if you transfer your business over here, you have to transfer the technology that goes with it. Because see, in Africa and Asia, you can make this stuff for cheap, but we got the technology. Or we will make it here and send it over to you to assemble it. Down in South America, they call it asamblea, to assemble. You know, they got all the cars and parts and they put them together down there. They don't make them down there. Chinese said, no, senor. No, senor. If you want us to make this stuff, then you're going to send the technology with it. So the Chinese can make everything. Now, the Chinese done tricked them. And they had the thing that they brought Donald Trump in to whoop on the Chinamans is because the Americans thought that when you raise the standard of living of the people, they're going to want phony democracy. Like the dummies in, that's Singapore, not Singapore, Hong Kong. The other Chinese think them bums are spoiled brats. Been coddled by the British for 100 years. You know, the rest of the Chinese, all that big China, that little island this big, they call them spoiled brats, making all this noise. What happened was the Chinese party has a stronger hold on things, the Chinese Communist Party, which is not communist anymore, but they say the Chinese Communist Party will manage Marxist-Leninism, Chairman Maoism, Deng Xiaoping thought with Chinese characteristics. That's the way we do in Islam. Negro characteristics. We don't care what you call it. We know what we're doing. I mean, when I say we know what we're doing, we know one thing. Everything we done said about this system has been correct. That's unbelievable because the correctness over the years, if I'm reading for something 10 years ago that I could have read 10 years before that or even 30 years ago, and it's right on the money, that means now it's time for us to really act. In order to act on all of this, we should give the Negroes a chance. They're going to have to grow, though. They can't stay what they are. You know, if they got something slick in mind, let them do it. Let them do it. There's no big deal. If they don't want to, don't do it. Stay at home. Let the world realize that you've been working for the white man all of your life, for 40 years, all of you. Hassan Bagby been working for the boss man all that time, right? All that time to produce what? Nothing. Siraj Wahad since 83. Been jumping up and down and turning flips for people. These, all of them, Isna, Ikna, and all of them. To produce what? Absolutely nothing. Zaid Shakir, good guy. What do they produce? If they're all going to sit back and now they're going to do Manna 2020, you know, like Manna 2000, whatever it was when the first Manna, that was to stop what we're doing. Okay, do it again then. If you so bad, nigga, that's the way I look at it. You know, like you see people, you say, nigga, you think you so bad? You go and do that then. If you think that this a big play world and you gonna cut your people's throat on behalf of who? Boss man and the immigrant community, which is scared to death. Their job is to help teach the immigrant community. Re-Africanization of Islamic movement in North America means that we bring them people on board and they act right. They reform. They're not out of the, if they don't, we just wait a little while. It don't look like homeboy is coming, and we going on about our business. Just like all other stuff we wrote. We never wait too long for nobody. We just kept right on going. Hey, let's have a love feast. We don't love no niggas. That's why we had wrote on here that we never had a problem with big niggas, just little niggas. You know, do you know the worst thing to be in those days? Somebody might say, man, that guy got a pretty Cadillac, he got this, that, and other. And they say, that's a little nigga. He got all the alligator shoes and all the diamonds. He got a few prostitutes. He got all the stuff. But he's little. The nigga is little. That was the worst thing somebody, well, this was in our day. The worst thing somebody could say, that you ain't no big nigga, you a little nigga. Boy, that was terrible. Unbelievable. If they want to be little, that's up to them. Ain't gonna stop us. Look, this thing about everybody gets tried and tested along the way. So do we. That's why we have to arrive here. We created not the heavens and the earth and all in between them, but for just ends. And this is the reason for all of this. And each group of people that are here at their period of time, they're here for a reason. Right? Now, Allah gave us all opportunities to do certain things. Whether we do them or not is not on Allah. It's whether we do. But in the meantime, and the hour is surely coming when this will all be manifest. So overlook. Why is this here? Just like it's talked, the creation of the heavens. So overlook any human faults with gracious forgiveness. And you find that all the time at the end of something that seems like it's talking about the great macrocosm. And now, if you're going to get there, you're going to have to forgive everybody. You're going to have to overlook faults. You know why? Because those people there, in the old days, it was Arabs. And now, there's niggers. Those are niggers. You know what kind of habits niggers have? Nigger habits. Where do they get their habits? From the white man. The white man, can you imagine? We are people that was made by boss man. And even when he messes up, when I say he messes up, can you imagine in our day, what was the best music? Jazz, all of that. All of that. He messed up. He produced, you know, in 1936, they talk about broken homes and all that. 70%, 6% of black people in America was married. In 1970, it was 70%. In 1980, it was 30%. It flipped over, boop, just like that. It flipped over. 30% married, and the rest people running around. Why? Because we come from those people way back then that they was all broke up. You know what I mean? That stuff you see on the movies about white folks selling, suppose my father told me about people and family members, he was born in 1900, that they might have found each other in 1912 or something. They were so happy they just passed out. They reached their goal. I was looking for my sister. They find their sister and they just dropped dead. That stuff is true. I got it on tape. So they came from a group of people that it was the worst thing you could do. Imagine you got a nice little pretty baby, a little fat cheek baby, and the white man sell them off. Or your wife you done jumped the broom with, he can sell her and go up in her whenever time he wants. You know what I mean? So we came out of that, but that's gone now. Don't nobody care nothing about that. The youngsters now, they don't even know nothing about that. Maybe there's some magic stuff up there. Don't worry. Hold your peace. We're going to pull through this. We can make it. But anyway, just think about it like this. When we said, let's come together and consider where we are now. Or let's reason together, right? That means we have to think about it. Okay, if they're not, we still have to, right? We have to, because we already have been given certain things and we have to act off what we have been given. No, you don't have to act off what you've been given, but you'll be accountable for it, right? And if you're going to get big, you can't be little. You can't be little nitty picking at stuff. You guys laughed at me in 1995. They did. All the Negro man, they not only laughed, I made a proposal to them in 88, and they all turned around, faced the wall. I said, it's okay. So the white man gonna stick his behind and foot in everybody's behind. Play with me. I don't care. All that can come true. We can't hold it against them. We can't. Why? Because it will block our road into the future. If Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam would have held the Arabs, that they Arabism against them, what would have happened with the mission? Khalid ibn Walid, the greatest soldiers, most of them, come from that Jahiliyyah. Khalid ibn Walid, when the people and Uhud, when the archers broke that was Khalid ibn Walid that said, hey, he was a soldier, right? Sword of Islam or something like that. And he saw it, he moved on it. Later on, he was doing the same thing on the battlefield. That boy got so bad that when he was on the Western Front and they needed help on the Eastern Front fighting the Persians, shoot. When they saw them black flags with white writing coming, they knew it was Khalid ibn Walid. They said, that's it. No, when Abu Bakr sent Khalid ibn Walid, remember the people say, we might pray, but we ain't going to pay no zakat. That's in Abu Bakr's time. They said, Abu Bakr said, you paid the Prophet, peace be upon him, you're going to pay me. So he sent Khalid down there. And when they saw him coming, they said, oh, zakat? I'm just getting ready to pay. Hey man, where's your zakat at? That, right? It wasn't no trouble at all. Yeah, man. Yeah, zakat. That's shoot, man. I ain't late, I know. Right? I'm trying to tell you, you gotta, those Negroes, those double dealing, undercutting Negroes have that same stuff in them. You got to be big enough. They got it in them. They got it in them. They got it in them. You got to, I know it sounds crazy, but you know, one of the things that I have, I've always liked niggas. I just like niggas. And all of my fights was mostly with the system. You know, I didn't learn how to fight real, not good, but a little bit, you know, until later on in life. The early part of my life, I spent fighting groups of the white man. So I was used to, if I was in the county jail or something, I'd run, of course after I learned martial arts, I'd run and jump on the guard, wrap my legs around him, and do like this, and I'd chew that cracker. I chewed one cracker so bad, he had, oh boy, you should have seen his face. So I just jumped. Why? Because all those guards there, if you start throwing punches, they're going to grab one hand. Then they're going to grab the other. Then they're going to grab a foot. You know what I mean? So then if you got the old-time goon squad, you know them police with the big bellies, jangling keys, you do something, they run down, the sergeant or the lieutenant blow the whistle. The goon squad would be guards from all over. And they would all run down the hallway and they'd run in your room and they would. I love to fight them. You know why? Because all you do is make them mad, hit them, and then double up. And guess what they do? They beat each other to death, trying to kill that nigga. They be hitting each other all the time. I be there, oh man, Lord have mercy, and not getting hit at all. Right? That's the way I used to do. If we hold it against the Negro for being a Negro, plus, how do you know what Allah got wrote for the Negro? And if you like the people, who put that likeness in you? Allah put it in you. Because black people generally don't like black people too much. I know they'll shoot them quicker than they shoot white folks. Right? You don't see black people attacking white people. Even I see girls run right up the hill. Hi. Oh, good God Almighty. Over in the park where we run, the white people have that now. You know, it's 2, 3 Negroes over there, but you know, the white people, they run all day. And you don't never see all them Negroes on the corner. They don't even say nothing to them. They just walk. They've been trained. Don't give in. Just hold your head up and walk down the street like you're not afraid. They take teeth chattering and everything. Right? That's what they teach them to do. And they do it. And you say, they get in the classroom. You know, the teachers got to do that. And they be scared to death. But the Negroes just look dangerous, right? The natives look dangerous. But now a Negro walk down the street and do anything. Or what they do when the police come, the niggas throw their guns all under everything. And the gun is to shoot. They don't shoot the police. In the old days, people used to shoot. Now they shoot each other. They don't shoot no police. I ain't heard of none getting shot. Anyway, whatever this is that we have here, we've already got our stuff lined up. We're ready to go. But what we're doing now, we have to recruit people. And the people that have skill or training right now, they've been trained by boss man. They're trained speakers. All of them are trained speakers. They're trained speakers. That's what they do. They speak very well. So Raj can talk the white off that thing there. That's his job. Zaid comes on like he's really knowledgeable. You see him on, and the Iranians have him on press TV sometimes. And he's given a very serious, very good talk though. He gives organized speeches. Might be scary. When they move on me, they use that structure on me. When they raid the masjid, it's a military move. It's just there. It's a military move. All the time. When they move on me in a meeting or anything, isolate him, cut him off, and you do this. Everybody got their part, and they're playing it. They're playing it. The only thing is, it never worked. It never worked. Why? We never stopped. They thought after so many years, you're going to get tired. You're going to lose your energy. You're going to become sad. Not possible. What did we say the first day? It's a protracted struggle. I didn't know it'd be this long. I thought it'd be protracted like China from 1921 to 1949, something like that. That was a long time, but not almost forever, right? But look, that thing about forgiveness, all those things about changing your mind, changing your heart, changing your desire to do right, it's possible. This didn't happen all throughout history. It didn't happen. Our best knowledge is Muslims. They took Shahada. One guy, he said, is it true what you said, Rasulullah, about if I die as a martyr, I'll go straight to heaven? I said, yes. So the guy had some dates in his hands. He threw them away and went on and got martyred. He said he did little. I mean, what he did was a lot, but it was basically, it was a condensed period of time, and he got the ultimate. Okay. We're not in control of where the people come from. But we have to keep our eyes, our ears, and we have to keep our mind, and we have to keep our heart open. We don't know if anybody's going to respond to anything we're saying. But it's our obligation to do it. Does that make any sense? It's our obligation to do this. If they don't, we're not going to stop. They could change. I have a little thing here. It's just you might want to read it. Yeah, I got two of them right here. It says, I bargained with life for a penny, and life would pay no more. However, I begged at evening when I counted my scanty store. For life is a just employer. It gives you what you ask. But once you have set the wages, why you must bear the task. I worked for a menial's hire, only to learn dismayed that any wage I would have asked for life would have willingly paid. That's this course, white man, it's on the section. Of course, it's from the book Think and Grow Rich. I've always liked that. But look, if it's true for them, you know it's true for a Muslim. I bargained with life for a penny. That's their job. That's what they wanted. And then after, it relates back to the hadith that if you make leisure, working in the way of Allah, your leisure, Allah close up the door to poverty. Right? That's what the hadith say. It has about delay. He said, but if you don't do it, you're going to be working. You ain't going to never get, you ain't going to never get out of debt. You're going to be poor, and you're going to still be working. So what this is saying, when you mix all this good spiritualism, it has a lot to do with self-image psychology. How we see ourselves. We are a people that no matter how good an education we get, we look up just enough. We want stability. We want security. Right? What's the name? Was it the Japanese guy? He didn't want that. He wanted entrepreneurship. And all the entrepreneurs will tell you, you go to school and get yourself a stamp from the government. And the saddest people, I'll get back to this in a minute, but I used to go to the Starbucks down, just go on out Central Avenues, out there. They got a lot of stores out there. And this is a hangout of used to be city employees and the county employees out, you know, they all my age and that stuff. And the only thing they got to do is to go down to that Starbucks and you can hear them talking. And they talking about the job they used to have, and and then they know all the other polices and stuff like that. Civil servants, the saddest, most heartbroken people you ever find. Civil servants, mail workers. I mean, back in the old days, that was a step up for us. That ain't. I'm not against it for a large group of people, but there has to be a group of people in certain amount of numbers that don't believe in these glass ceilings, and they don't believe in this self-image psychology that tells us that Pharaoh, that was the thing, that's right, that was the thing in the Quran mentions it, but about when Moses sent the people to spy in the land and see what was going on, and they came back, they said, those people are big, strong, Jabarim, strong people, man. The Bible says, when we saw them, we saw ourselves as grasshoppers to them. And they saw us the way we saw ourselves. This is deep now, you got to remember. These guys was big and strong. When they saw themselves, we're grasshoppers. We ain't nothing. We can't do nothing with them. And when they said that to themselves, the other people saw them that way. You don't hear Americans talking about, because the little people, or the Vietnamese, I didn't even know how small they were. I went to the Vietnamese embassy in 1971 when I was in Paris. I looked at them, man, these boys is whooping. They wasn't no more than this big. You seen the Vietnamese, they just tiny little people, tiny as they can be. I said, good God Almighty. I say, boy, they are laying. You don't hear the Americans say, them little bitty teeny human beings. You hear them soldiers talking about it, you think they was 9 feet tall, the way they was whooping on Americans and willing to die, right? And they got all these PTSD, all that stuff. They had it in Vietnam, they had it in World War II, they had it shell-shocked in World War I. They had it, they Civil War, they've had all of that. And they send me and you over there to fight their people. And then they come back here. I don't mean to ramble, but look how they do a soldier, man. the number, I don't know, is maybe 22 soldiers a day commit suicide in America. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Why? Because they treat him like a dog. He come back here. They used to have a big deal with homelessness. They trying to fix it because all the homeless, they ain't fixed it though. I'm just trying to tell you, this stuff. Yeah, they did stuff that they knew they guilt. They go into somebody's house. Some guys stuck rifles in women's vagina and blew their bodies. Oh no! Look, when you get over there, you go crazy. You thinking, first of all, I can shoot people and it's all right. At first, it's a video game, like they got everybody, brrr, brrr, and you see Americans. You see other soldiers, they don't be wasting all them bullets like they do but Americans, they just brrr, brrr, they just overpower you with all that shooting. Pretty soon you look. In the Iraq war, it was 1 million people dead. This last one, they lost 4,000 people over here, but 1 million of those. They say, you think the number's exaggerated? I said, what? 200,000 and 500,000. What are you talking about? What are you must be crazy. Remember Madeleine Albright? Their statistics said 750,000 people had died from, this is 91, from the early 90s up until she getting ready to leave office. So that must have been 98 or something. Miss Albright, 750,000 people have died from the sanctions. Forget about all the depleted uranium, all those 2-headed babies and 3-arm and 1-leg children. Right? You know what I mean? Depleted uranium. They did that to them people. Said, what do you think about that? I think it's worth it. These people are so evil, it's not even on the books. That type of evil they do, it's unnecessary evil. The shaitan don't even demand that type of evil. He just demand, or just go and screw up and mess around and, and dumb stuff. But you don't have to kill everybody, right? You don't have to do that. The shaitan don't say, I want you to, think about it. Just murder and psychopathic stuff. The shaitan just want to keep you away from worshiping Allah. Hey man, I'm your sincere advisor. But the shaitan, you don't see the shaitan he said, I'm going to deceive you. That's what deception. But the shaitan is not saying just murder millions of people. Burn them alive. Do all of that. That's okay. Now, remember, we have to challenge all of that, but we have to help all of that. We have to fix all of that. You have to think about it, what our job is. That's why we have to recruit a big crew. They already trained. Remember, we already got our reading lists and things that we would study, right? But we said as aid, this is what we want. And then we need a propagandist or something, I don't know, or a buffoonery guy. We said, Siraj, you take care of that. You'll be the chief of that. Yes. And he'll talk to White off that thing right there. Yes, he will. You just give him the microphone, he'll do the rest. Tell him what you want. That's what the foreigners do. They hint about what they want, and he'll go. And if his job is to stop you, he'll stop you. if you having all them great programs in the 80s on drugs and how they affect the people and the individual, they'll have the dope busters. 1980, 1990, they were dope busting. They'll go to them programs and tell everybody had a room shaking. And that drug dealer told me, ma'am, please don't interfere with my business. And I told him, blah, 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 blah. And then that same brother came to me with Hodge, and we went to Hodge together. I don't know if you heard that one. That was 1989. Lying. Niggas lying. I mean, the brother is lying, not the niggas lying. But don't y'all worry when I use the word nigga. I love niggas. And I don't care what y'all call them. As far as me, the N word is in. And to have a clown like Sharpton saying, we should not use the N word. Well, he shouldn't sell all that dope. Remember, he got busted had a kilo of cocaine. Talking about I was getting it for, and would wear them big old hats. Broke down for a while. I said, well, Reverend Al, if you ain't no dope dealer, boy, you look like one. And lie. That boy. Anyway, you see what we're up against. Are the odds in our favor? The human odds? Absolutely not. They're all against us. But Allah's odds are on our yeah. And we don't know what time. See, we have to do our job no matter what the outcome is. Other people we've got to do this, we've got to do that. We have the Quran. It's already told us what to do. And the Quran then told us our opposition too. And they're going to do that. And this is one of those years where I said the Quran on steroids, because everything, we pay attention all the time, but sometimes you get this out of it, next year you get that out of it. But this is the year of cold-blooded, straight out. Everybody went to their people. They said the same thing. Man, you crazy. Man, you a liar. Man, a flood. It don't even rain in this area. So what we gonna build a boat? They laughing at the poor man. The poor man building a boat. They're just laughing. What is that? Oh, it's a boat. Why? Well, so it tells you. Poor Salih come that says this is a she camel that's treated good. It's a sign that they just hamstring the camel. That's okay. We don't take that stuff the same way everybody else would, and we can't. We can't take. I don't even want to say it because I don't sound like it. You know, this is going to take love and compassion. Now I know don't nobody believe, because sometimes I look in the mirror and I say the word love. We love you. I say, don't look like it to me, boy. I'm looking at you. When the people are looking at you and you saying that, I don't think they believe. Do you think they believe in it? They don't think that nigga's lying. They think I'm Al Sharpton or something. Right, they do, a Jesse Jackson, right? Or worse, or worse. That man is lying. I know one thing, anything they tell anybody about me, tell it to, they believe it. Just like that. You don't have to tell them twice or three times, or corner them or follow them down the street, tell them again. As soon as you tell them, Imam Musa is a such and such, they got a graveyard in the back of the masjid. They said, okay. They praying over a graveyard. They sacrifice little children like Idi Amin. You know, they say he'd eat little children and stuff like that. Well, he treated white folks pretty bad. So, you know. And you go to meet Idi Amin, my friend, Dr. John Branyan, the one I was at, he was Idi Amin's doctor. Idi Amin, all the Africans liked him. But after he had the white folks carrying him around on that chair, I don't know if y'all ever saw that picture. You know they had a chair that the king used to sit on in Africa, and they'd carry her, yeah. Well, he had white folks carrying him around, so after that, it's all over. So they said he sacrificed little babies and all kind of stuff. I said, boy, they sure be, I mean, I knew it was a lie, but the other people didn't. They believed it. So anyway, let me try to wrap this up and put this in focus. Our reasoning together means that we study the patterns of declines in the society. We study the patterns. The patterns are in. Then this strategic Negro national cooperation, that's what it is. Strategic because the way we're doing it, and then those people are involved. We have to help the world, but we have to help the people in our region first, or also, and we have to help the immigrants remember what Islam is. You know, they think Islam is the Eid and stuff like that. The rituals. That's what they think. They don't have nothing to do with if you see a wrong being done, stop it with your hand. If you can't speak out about it, and you can't do that, feel bad about it. That's what we get. They don't know. They don't have that on the thing at all. National unity. In this point-by-point analysis that we have made, that we have been making, we make them and then we come up with plans, what it should take. Okay. When we want to put this new thing together, all we have to do is take a few of these things, put them together, and our plan is complete. That's just like all this is complete. It's been complete because we outlined what we wanted to do and what we thought was the right thing to do. When we think about the system, financial, economic, social, political, this thing is falling apart. And it can't do anything but fall apart now. That's the way it is. Remember we used to talk about how America was the international currency and how Britain, the British pound, used to be the international currency. When it was the international currency, the British pound was $5 for a pound. Now it's down to about 1.5 or something. And that they're going to force the things that are talked about are forced on people. The strategic alliance. First, Iran was there by itself. It ain't there no more. Why? Because the one they had them fight in Iraq became their best friend. The one they had them up at the other place in Afghanistan, they had them Shia hate. They killed people in Mazar Sharif, and they blow up Shia Masajid. But Shias are 30% of Afghanistan. They're 30% of Pakistan. They're 90% of Iran. And everybody's going to Najaf and Karbala. Okay. Why is that all that happening? That is something that develops in the people and they may not even know what it is. We used to call it a collective consciousness. That's like in the 60s, if Malcolm X went somewhere and talked to the people, he could wake up the whole city in one lecture. Because it was a collective consciousness. He was right. All everybody had to do was, what did he say? Yeah, that's right. Now you can talk till your mouth turn white and slobber come out of your mouth and you just, niggas be looking at you like it ain't the time. But that time comes along every now and then, cyclical, right? And there will come a time when these people running around looking crazy and acting crazy, gonna be ready to wake up. That's why they open manna and they do all of them, because every 10 years or so, there's a feeling in the black Islamic movement. There's a feeling, it's a feeling that we need to unify. Man, we need to do something. No, and that's what they do. The white man is right there, and they got them listening too, and they all listen. Well, what you think, boys? Well, boss man, them niggas is ready to, they want some unity, they want love, they want to, well, y'all know what to do. You'll go out and do this, you'll go out that. Here's a team. They got a team of destructive destabilizers, diverters, and they go out and they do it. I've seen it 3 or 4 times. No, they had the Federation in 78. They had something else in the 80s. And then by the time the early 2000s, here they come with manna. And when we talking Malcolm and Black, guess what they did? They just got the kitty cloth doggone thing. And they had Fahim Shuaib and all. I said, everybody was on the bill but me. So, that's good though. See, one thing they can't say, well, they have said it before, but they can't make it stick. Imam Musa's a tattletale. Imam Musa been working with the white man. I said, well, he must have run me crazy before I did it, before I worked with him, because I don't remember collaborating with him. So, the things that make life real, the money. China is being harassed too much by the U.S. You made this, you made that. They're trying to blame it on China. They're trying to mess with China's money. You can turn on their stuff every day and hear what they're saying. China is working on developing its own currency, international currency, and moving away from the dollar. I just want y'all to remember, when they move away from the dollar, that boy is gone. It ain't worth the paper it's printed on. Okay, all those will super weaken the United States. Everything that they do to Iran, you don't hear nothing about how stable Iran is and how, because we listen to the wrong stations about, right, Iran's stock market and all of that. So out of the people in the world, it's been us on one team. And they had the whole team. You got to remember, the people in South Africa, the rich people in South Africa, it was bringing Dr. Siddiqui over there. It was bringing Dr. Siddiqui over there because they didn't think he was going to live long, which he didn't. But Zafar and them and all of them in Crescent this is a go. When Dr. Siddiqui went over there, Dr. Siddiqui told them people, well, they told him back in London, they say, if you go over there, you're not going to come back because you get your heart, da-da-da-da. And you're way back on the list because you're older, 64 years old, and your heart's going to younger people. You got to stay here and rest. I was sitting right there with him. No, the first time I saw it, when we gave those big lectures, thousands of people there, Dr. Siddiqui, the lecture that he gave where he said Imam Musa is this, that, another, that same lecture. He was talking and he rocked up and back and turned white, and the whole audience, you could hear, you know what I mean, a little light hush groan go over the thing. They thought he was going to die on stage. But he got himself together and he finished his lecture and he told everybody, hey man, I'm going to go, I'm tired. You know what Zafar and them told him? Oh, come with us to Botswana, when he was on the plane going to Botswana. Because a commercial plane didn't come, so one of the rich guys, he had an airline in Botswana. It's only a 4-hour drive in a car way up there. And it's an hour, 45 minutes in the plane. I'm tired. I feel, no, come with us. They tired him out. I said it before. They killed him. They know what they was doing. They know what they was doing because the whole crew turned on us. Why we going to Canada every week and we going all over, we in the Crescent, why all that and then nothing? Nothing. What did we do to them? Dr. Siddiqui said, this is my homeboy here. He's smarter than all of y'all. That's what it sounded like. And he's the essence of everything that is good. I said, damn, Doc, you cutting the nigga's throat, man. When they hear that, they gonna pull out their knives. And they did. From then on, when I went to South Africa, they had changed. All the rich guys, everybody, it changed. They held me up at the airport in Atlanta. They held me up at the airport in Atlanta because they got one plane to go to South Africa. And the one I was on, they just took me off the plane and set me down in the front. Then they forgot, you got to take him downstairs because Muhammad Al-Asi and his wife got to get on the plane. And if he see them getting on the plane, he's going to tell them. So they took me downstairs. All this stuff is 100% organized. So when I get to South Africa, I missed the program, or I would have to have perfect coordination when I get there to get to where I want to go. All of that stuff. Masood Chajere and all of them, and what's that Islamic civil human rights. They sent me to Switzerland, and somewhere, Switzerland, and the time they sent me to, for the 5th time, Sri Lanka. The other guy in the group, big old tall Algerian guy, Imam Musa, I'm telling about, you know, the fiery speech, we're going to do this, we can do that. And he come up and he tell them, Dad, that's crazy, you can't do nothing. You know, he told him something about it. We don't even make toilet paper to wash, to clean our bottoms. So after the 3rd time, I said, man, I'm an African American. And we have to be positive and optimistic. And so do these people here too. If we're here to speak, we have to fire them up and give them hope and inspiration and direction. And I told the guy, I said, I ain't speaking before you anymore. You're going to speak after. I'm going to speak after you. I'm not talking before you anymore, because we was on a tour. I said, man, what is wrong with you? That was him. Then they sent me to the same guy's Algerian. Boy, he had a beautiful daughter. She was about 20 years old, and he says, Imam Musa, this is when I was about 40 or something. My daughter just loves your talks, and she loves it. He said that in L.A., he said that in South Africa. He was always telling me about it. They wanted me to marry. She wasn't white, but you would think she was. It's Algerian, you know. They was always up to something. They was up to something all the time. I come to South Africa and I'm staying, me and sister back here, Sakina was 1 year, she learned how to walk in South Africa. Instead of having us staying in a regular, they got me staying and my family staying with a lady, and she's half white and half Indian. And they think, since I'm a nigger, that the lighter the better. That's the way they think. They're almost certain of it. And they always got, I'm telling you, I told Sakina, because I was down at the coffee shop, same thing, I said, and here's this, Imam Musa, you know, I'm on, what was that cricket program where the guy was the president. They took it off. Huh? House of Cards. Of course, I liked it. I liked to watch because he lied. Always I said, that's the way they are here. You know, I liked the program. Did you see me in House of Cards last? This is the lady. Yellow lady with straight hair. So I said, no. Well, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And then so Sakina says, when we get in the car, who is that lady, Daddy? Because, you know, I said, that's a yellow lady. I said, and they think your daddy like yellow women. So that's what she's here for. Pops up at the coffee house when I'm here. It's not the only time. Popped up over at the other. How they pop up every coffee house I go to. You know. And Masoud Chajere, they sent me to Switzerland. Switzerland. For a program that didn't exist. You know, just to use up your time and just to do stupid stuff. Him and Zafar and all of them. They never went nowhere and there wasn't no program. What I'm trying to tell you, you wouldn't believe the numbers and the amount of people that's when working against this program. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to fool them all. We're going to get with the Negro, and we're going to help this world become a better place, or a good place to live. Yeah. Because you know, but they don't even believe niggas really think like that. They think I'm lying. They think everything I'm saying is a lie. I got a scheme, and I'm just lying. They're almost certain of it. I would say they are certain, because they don't, you know why? They never seen no nigga that didn't, everything they throw out for them to bite at, most Negroes bite at. If you throw a girl, the hadith said the biggest test for men will be what? Women. And that's for everybody. Who are all the spies, big spies? Is a pretty girl, right? Why? Why would they do that? Because everybody going, hey, yeah, that's all right. And they going down. Or money, stealing money. Say, can't no niggas, they gotta steal money. No money stealing. Or fear. We're scared of niggas to death. Or all of them, peer group pressure. All of them is facing the wall and you the only one there standing by yourself. I said, hey, don't bother me none. The white man, there I was talking to their backs. I said, the white man is going to stick his foot in all the niggas behind. Of course he did. They remember that today. So everything that they arranged, it didn't work. And that, it's not that it didn't work because of a personality. It works because of something we read the other day, that I am working on my Lord's mission, Allah's mission. You see what I mean? That's the difference. Okay, and with Allah's mission, if you work on Allah's mission, you don't worry about the success or failure. That's what Allah say. You just got to keep pumping it out, right? Just like it says, you just keep doing that. Don't worry about nothing else. I got it all covered. The position of the United States and the rest of the world has never been in this position in history. That's our sign to go on and move forward and to implement every bit of this program. If we do, inshallah, we don't want to read all of these, but we already have the program outlined. We just have to get busy on it. Now, dear believers, if you get busy, if you see this as a recruiting and, then that's what we're doing. If you don't come around, it's okay. We just keep going anyway. We got this stuff from 10 and 20 years ago. We've been talking the same thing. So you can come, because we don't get no extra credits if you come. That's you. The Quran is clear. If you do right, it's for your benefit. That's all. It's for your benefit. So that's where we're coming from on this. Are there any questions or any comments at all? Okay. Okay. Well, remember, a boss man, he blocks this thing. It ain't no more than 2-3 people be watching it. I know that. And the ones that's watching it is his folks. The boss man is good at that. Don't make no difference. It's been like that. We already got something we'll do, and we'll do it in our time. Remember, see, they don't believe like now white man, the boss man, he messes with your health a little. But you notice how I'm getting around now? Shoot, I'm praying, laughing, and talking. I shouldn't say that, because as soon as I say it and brag about it, I get the misery. Remember, I was up on the roof, I couldn't hardly stand up there, waving back and forth. That's when we're getting ready to do something. If you notice, a couple of years ago when we went over and got up on the roof, on that, none of that happened. When we painted the masjid, after painting the masjid, I painted 2 fails and I put on that plastic, and I would paint and I'd drip with so much sweat, all my paint, everything would be full. I'd go back and lay down, get a little breather, and I'd come back and do it again. You know how hot and humid it'd be. And I would do time I did it 3 times a day. And I was working on that iron out there. And that's when I was talking about age regression. Boy, old Khadijah got so mad. You ain't age regressing. You getting old, and I said, must be people get mad, stuff like that. And I might as well go and finish. I feel just as nice as I can be right now. Okay. Now, last week, 2 weeks ago, I couldn't hardly walk up the stairs, you know what I mean? And they have First this leg hurt, then the other one hurt, and then the other one. I said, a white man ought to keep his pain function. He ought to remember, if this leg hurt all the time, then don't stop this leg hurting. And it do, it stop, this don't hurt, then it's over here. Now it's fine. But I said the white man he got to keep his memory. You know what I mean? He got to keep his schedule. Oh, this is the right leg. Be like the guy took in the hospital, they cut the wrong leg off. That's pitiful, that's terrible. Back in the 90s. Anyway, this is over 10 years old. Strategic management under conditions of repression. Okay. And we'll close with this. Environmental scanning. Societal environment, enemies' behavior, patterns of historical modes of operation, societal behavior. That's external. You study that. That's what environmental scanning is. We've been doing it many times. Internal, structure, chain of command, culture, beliefs, expectations, and values, history, successes and failures of previous Islamic movements, resources, assets, skills, competencies, and knowledge. Strategy formulation, mission, goals and objectives, strategies, and policies. That just means the reason why we're doing this, your mission. And of course, goals, objectives, and strategies, plan to achieve how we're going to do this. Then, strategy implementation. The last strategy, we implemented that. Yeah, we already done all of that. We've actually, the programs, well, the budgets, we didn't never have a budget, but we always hustle up the money. Procedures, the sequences, and now evaluation and control. That's where we are now on this evaluation and control. We're evaluating how did we do? What did we do? Was the timing right? You know what I mean? How far away from where we expected to be, right? Who do we want to be a part of this? How did they receive? How will we? All of that, evaluation and control. And remember, we just go back to the beginning. Environmental scanning. That's what we're doing right now. We're environmental scanning. We're scanning the environment that we live in. How are things in the world today? How do we fit in things the way they are today? That's simple. Yeah. What's the behavior pattern? You could write down Sam's behavior pattern. He always, if it's foolish, he's going to do it. But this is our time in history. I think a couple of times we had, of course our name takes that into consideration. As-Sabiqun, to anticipate. In our next meeting or two or along the way, we'll toy with that, anticipate. What's going to happen? But just the regular scenarios. We take 1, 2, 3 scenarios. With this information, the way it looks, possible ways to go. It's possible to go that way. The same information. Let's look at it again. It's possible that it'll go this way. Da, 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 da. It's possible that it'll go that way. Scenarios. Because nobody knows the future but Allah, right? So, all of those things that we do, now here's the catch. The white man does not believe that the Negro has the ability to do all of that stuff. Of course it sounds colored. We don't make, it's not like a classroom, like now, where niggas do this, niggas do that, and the white man, this. It doesn't sound like a classroom setting. But everything that we're talking about, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Then you forget, oh, some other fits right into this. The other secret of all of this is that during Jahiliyyah, we had, in the criminal world, we had this pretty good management. It was reasonable. Evidently, we're the richest guy in the region, right? And don't think you can be a dummy to smuggle cocaine, to purchase cocaine, smuggle it from Colombia up to the United States, and then have it distributed without getting busted over and over again. You can't be Jack the Clown and do that. You have to have skill on all kind of levels. How you gonna buy it in Colombia and they all Colombians? And over a certain amount of money, they gonna give you garbage or kill you or you know what I mean, all that stuff. And nothing happens. Then transportation. How are you gonna pack and ship all that stuff here? Right? And you do it. And how you gonna get it distributed here and keep your head above water without, you know, people running off with all your stuff. One of my friends, is my best friend. In fact, he still is. When I took him down, when I brought him down to South America, I said, go by such and such a place and pick up a certain amount of money. He went by and picked it up, and we hung out for, in those days, I was, and what we was doing, I was the sheikh. I had the experience. No, there's no joke about it. If I started in 66, by 72, you know, doing it there, and I had the experience. Other people were just starting. They were just getting into it. So he used to box. Well, he still did even then. And so we'd walk them hills up to Mount Surat every morning. And then I'd be giving him game, you know. So when we got ready to leave, I know I done told you all this before. He said, if you could give me 1 pound of cocaine, I can make $84,000. So I said, what the hell you think we've been talking about all this time? And I said, we're international dope dealers now. I said, 1 pound is a lot in Oakland in those days. But the less I could give you is 10 pounds. The less, that's the least. We're international smugglers. The less I can send you with is 10 pounds. Then he thought I was crazy. I said, 1 pound. I said, you know them jars up there, them coffee jars I had up there in the cabinet? Yeah. Said they a little low now. I said, they are low. I said, each one of them had about 2, 3 ounces. From each shipment I'd buy before he got there, I would take some out just to see what it looked. Oh man, I like that. It's kind of orangish, yellow. I like that blow. Yeah. Then the other one be white flake, you know. You hear bells, ting-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling, you know. I said, I like that too. So I kept a couple of ounces from every, I said, do you know how much cocaine we've snorted since you've been here? I said, we done snorted 1 pound of cocaine since you've been here. Them jars, each jar had 2 or 3 ounces in each one. So how am I give you 1 pound? I can't do it. So we got it on back. Don't buy no new cars. Stay under. You know, all the rules. Every mistake I made, I told her, don't do that. Don't you buy no big pretty cars, no diamond rings, no honor, all that. You just, the work clothes you got, keep them. Get you a couple of nice old cars to change up, and you can stay away from the niggas a little bit, but all the houses you get, you know, for to hold your drugs or to meet people or to do stuff. I gave him the whole game. Man, he come back once, all the money, it was just wonderful. Come back twice, come back 3 times. The 4th time, I was hearing the news. I said, oh, so-and-so bought his woman a Jag. He got a vet, a Jensen, and a something else, and he went up to Eastmont Mall. That's the regular store. He said he bought a 5-carat diamond ring. I said, good God Almighty. Then the next shipment, when he was supposed to send the money, he sent a little bit, yeah. For me, it was enough, because I took what we got to Africa anyway. And I was trying to catch up with him, so he sent me a message. You tell Big Hank, I'm on the big end now. I said, that's the craziest statement I ever heard. See, first of all, your connection, all of my connections, man, they could drive my car, stay at my house. You looked out for your connection. When my connections would come visit me, man, they get the master bedroom, they get the whole show. They're your connection. And they taking care of you, your kids, all the stuff that you got. That's the reason you got it. Them. You happy to see them? At least in those days, you'd be happy to. Oh, yeah, we stayed at each other's house. Oh, yeah, come on in. Oh, we'll cook something for the. Hey, man, look at here. And he's telling me, I'm the connection in South America. I'm on the big end now. Yeah. You know, it took him a long time to go flat broke. When I got out of jail, he went down to Colombia and come back through Costa Rica. That was insane. At least that's what he said. But I know he weighed 100 pounds, and he was saying that. He weighed 100 pounds. He said, where you been? I've been in La Reforma. That's the jail down there. And he tried to do what I was doing. And he said, I'm on the big end now. He just owes me even right today, he owes me $200,000-$300,000, which is like $2-3 million. No, that's 10 times. Yeah, he owes me, let's say $2 million. Right now, he don't have it. He's on Social Security or something like that. But that's the way people's life stuff happened to them like that. If you get, I almost want to call it lucky. Technically, the life I've lived is the luckiest, happiest. That's why I'm grinning from ear to ear all the time. Because all the visions and dreams and hopes I ever had, hey, I got a chance to do them. I just got a chance to be rich. You know, when you're in your early 20s, when this means something. Drive all the big pretty cars, now I don't want to drive no more. I already know what it is. Right? All the cutie pies, that's all you used to say. You must have liked Redbone. All them yellow girls, I had them all. They're hanging on both. You ought to see some of the pictures I got. That's what's going on. But it don't mean nothing. It ain't nothing compared to Islam. All the things that the people use against the people, they don't get it and they don't know what's happening. On this stuff about leadership and management, we had it down pat for Jahiliyyah. But you have to learn, you have to evolve. This stuff, if you go and you study our As-Sabiquns, unity, Islamic movement, priorities in the Islamic movement, and you management, role of Islam and the Islamic movement, all of that stuff. I was being educated then because I'm studying all the stuff for that level. So anybody would look and say, oh, all those people were not real. Abdul Malik them was double crossing you. Abdul Malik them wasn't double crossing nobody. I was doing that to learn how to manage, to really manage. We'd have phony weddings here all the time. Most of those people, it was phony weddings. The people coming in, phony this, phony that. Phony advice, oh, please advise me on this. And them people would never pay no attention to the advice. But I was doing it for real. So I learned how to be a good advisor. They was there to train me. Just because they was phony, it didn't mean I was really studying. Counseling and all of that. I mean, I have books right now on counseling and all. I don't use what they say, but if I read a 500-page book of theirs, I can take 15 pages out of it. I mean, all, and I can use that. And I can Islamicize it. So that whole thing, that everybody thought, oh, Abdul Malik's a liar, the people join you and then they leave and they spend up all the money. That was my education. That's right? For that level, for Islam, how are you going to institute Islam in America? That was the education. That was the training. Because see, I was real. If I'm responding to it like it's real, then it's real to me. I'm going to do what would be real. It don't matter what they doing. Did I know that? I knew it all the time from day one. If I told Abdul Malik in 1987, you a tattletale, you a snitch, oh, that's terrible, wasn't you? Then I forgot who he was or something. 1990, I didn't remember. Right? Everybody, all the guys. Abdul Jalil over there. Abdul Jalil stayed over there for years. Abdul Jalil was head of security, right? Did you ever see him secure anything except the dinner table? He secured that dinner table, the hot dog stand, he got that covered. Tell the truth. The brothers wasn't the brothers, please get rid of that man for security. He don't run. He don't lift weights. He don't train us to do nothing. Look at his belly. His belly was growing. I thought they was lying. He wasn't pregnant, but it just looked like it. Right? Abdul Jalil. And Abdul Jalil would lie so much. I never paid attention to his lies. He said, when I was 14, I won. No, when I was 6 something that I won this championship or that championship. I said, yeah, when I was 14, shoot, I won my first championship. He's just lying. Hell, I lie right back. I don't care about what you're saying, right? Why would suppose I got mad? Nigga, you lying. That's the way people act. Man, that people, and it comes from a lot of training. I don't want to take all the time. But y'all ever heard about crank crystal meth? They didn't do it much with smoke. They didn't do it much with marijuana, but every now and then we'd have a load of crank. So crank keep you up. That's what they all night long. And everybody that come get it, they come get it early in the morning. Their mouth be turning white. Hey man, you know the way they have white in the corner. Oh man. And the Negroes would lie so bad. First I would be mad. Then the nigga, yeah man, I took that thing you gave me. I gave that bird flew down and snatched it up and flew off. Then it dropped it. Then the little rat got it and took it in the hole. Then a dog chased him in the hole and they run down the street. And that's why I ain't got no money. Your money. I said, here nigga, take another thing. That lie is so good. I start using it as I didn't go to the movies and all of that. So, and I didn't go have time. I go see Richard Pryor every now and then. But comedy shows, my customers, I'd be laughing so hard. I said, boy, I must have 2 heads. And they would lie so blatantly, it didn't make no sense. But that's what made it fun. And then I didn't lose no money because I wouldn't give them nothing else unless after they brought, I give them one, they bring 5 back. Then I'd give, something. So if they don't bring 1 back, so what? He already did 4 for me for free. So what I care? So that's the way and I never hurt nobody, never argued with nobody. And drug dealing was fun. I liked dealing drugs, I actually liked dealing it. It was very sociable and all that stuff. Then when it's time to quit, you quit. But I learned what I had to learn doing that. I had to learn what was real in money. What does money produce? What does wealth produce? How valuable are women? That's kind of strange, but how valuable are they? Right? All of that you learn, and you can't get nowhere if you don't learn them lessons. You're not going to be there long. Because everybody's shooting at you. The police shooting at you, the niggas trying to steal your money, your drugs, your wife, everybody. That's what they do. That's part of the game. Long story short, when I went overseas, a lot of my friends who was black nationalists, they never liked black people again because they got over there, they didn't have no money, and wasn't nobody sending them no help or nothing. One of the nicest imams you know. First thing he said, no, so technically they disliked black people because they was talking all that black power on the news, and the people, they thought it meant something. And they got over there, they had a family with them, and they don't have no money, and they get bitter. And then they have to come back here. Get enough money to come back here, because they can't be no doctor over there. If they was a doctor, they couldn't have no, like my friend that was a doctor, Dr. John Branyan. He couldn't practice medicine in some places because he was on the funny passport. He didn't have nothing under that name. He couldn't say my name is John Branyan. His name was Arthur McCoo. I said, Arthur McCoo. Good God Almighty, Doc. Because he was supposed to kill his wife. You know them scenarios that white people have? I said, Doc, black people don't kill their wife. They might beat them upside the head, or they might run off. But black people in those days, I said, a few did. I said, black people, they don't kill their wives, Doc. They don't kill their wife. I didn't kill her. Does this happen? You know them, like the mystery programs they white folks have? I said, damn, Doc. And we all crooks anyway, and Doc telling us that story. I said, Doc, but he couldn't practice medicine. The only time he could practice medicine was with Idi Amin. He was Idi Amin's doctor. Yeah, he was Idi Amin's doctor. But he couldn't practice. So if you had a trade from over here, you couldn't practice it over there because you don't have no. Just because you know how to do it, you didn't have a certificate to say, I can do this. So all the experts you'd see in the news, they'd have experts from all over Europe. That's what they used to call them. We have several experts coming to teach us black people what to do in Africa. I said, why don't you get your experts from the, I said, them white folks to come teach you about how to make movies? Them jokers ain't got nothing but a Super 8 camera, and they done had a 10-minute course somewhere, and they come over here and they go expert, and you gonna give them all your money, and they ain't gonna teach you nothing, cause they don't know nothing. Anyway, so I'll close with this. Certain things about the system. Inability to adjust to the 21st century. What I got here, tractor beam. You know the movies, they got a tractor beam, you're trying to get away, and the thing got, the other spaceship got you on a tractor beam. You can't go nowhere. The white man is in his own tractor beam. He's gripped by his own history, his own background. And I will eventually leave. But these whistleblowers, the Negroes, are whistleblowers. The chain reaction that it would have on the snitching system in America and the stature that it would give them and ourselves, we have a chance. This is a step toward the Negroization of the world's mind, like Martin Luther King, famous everywhere, right? Malcolm X, famous everywhere. This is our shot again. This is our shot again. If we pull this off right, and now who would be happy to see us there? Everybody, because Boss Man done stepped on everybody. Even in the old days, they still had the lie going that the U.S. is a democracy. Yeah, they kill a few niggas, but that's not that important, right? In the 60s and the 70s, in those days, the United States was the land of the free and the home of the brave. I'm telling you. And everybody was swallowing that. And the evil commies, the dirty Reds, the red Chinamans, and the Russian Reds, all of them is red. And the only ones that's white is America. They Snow White, right? And they even wore white hats, the white man did. Yes, they did. And the other people wore black hats. I'm telling you, that was a sad time. But now, everybody know who Boss Man is, right? And if you think Don was just unlucky to, no. Allah made that boy president at this time. And we can't lose. That's the hand we got right now. We can't lose. We can mess up stuff, but we can't lose the hand. Everything is in our hand right here. All we got to do, just think how simple it is. It's just what we said today. The Negroes, we cooperate together. The Negroes go down, they might kill a few, but you got to lose some somewhere. And we tell on the white man. They tell what they did. Yeah, we did this, we did that. And then everybody believes them because they can give names and dates and everything. And then after that, we tell the public that we planned that. So nobody's chasing around trying to kill them. They're not bad guys, they're heroes. You mean y'all had enough sense? I'm willing to share that with them. They had nothing to do with this. And I'm not going to put this out. Only people that's going to hear it is them. That's the only people. Oh, ain't nobody listening to this stuff. Not that I know of. I don't believe, look, I don't get no phone calls, and the only thing I get is some little mumble jumble. I know that ain't going nowhere. If it's 2 people, 5 people, the people that are watching this are one that's supposed to watch it. Just like the one I did on Forest Auto the other day. I just been waiting for a call. I haven't duplicated it. I haven't even watched it. I just hold it for a while, see what happened. Then if nothing happened, I'll duplicate it and put it out. Or look at it and see if it's good enough, or I'll do another one. So that somebody that saw it, this tattletale and funny, would call him and tell him, hey man, the man was talking about you, and this is what he said. He said he want $25,000, he want this, he want that, and fix the cars out there, and we home free. Right? That's what I said. That's what I said. Okay. So I'm not going to put this out now. The only one's going to know that's out, here's what it is. It's a cover. It's a protection. Number one, we dictate the story. All they have to do is do what we talked about here. All of them flip up on Boss Man. First of all, Boss Man would be in shock. He might have a heart attack. But then our story is, we plan that all the time. When I met Siraj in '83, when I met such and such in 82 in California when he gave the khutbah, we thought about what is our condition. That means pre-planning, anticipating, right? They don't believe niggas can do that. That's what we're going to tell the people. Of course it's true. Of course it's true. Right? That's the way we're going to tell it. And if only 2 or 3 of them go along with it, we're still going to do that. That's another level of guerrilla warfare with a little psychological stuff in it. The thing is, they can't beat us at nothing. If they would have, they'd have did it a long time ago. And you know, you can make the white man scared. You can scare him to death. Why you think I ain't dead? Just think about it. All the stuff we be talking, and it's all came out. Tell the truth, am I lying? Everything have came out 1, 2, 3. You think the boss man is paranoid? That nigga can see under tables. He can see through the wall. Hey man, don't you kill it. Don't kill it. Cause that man, hey man, I'm telling you, why is there 5 teams a minimum on one person? And if I go somewhere, they got all other teams. All other teams, all along the way, right? Hey, I'm telling you, this is nice. And we're gonna have fun. You scare everybody else? No, you can't scare nobody. And I'll close with this. There's a rule that they have at militaries, like, do not use your strategy or plan too often. That's Clausewitz, Baron von Clausewitz, he's just a military guy. Or your enemy will adjust to your tactics. Don't come with the same thing over and over again. The nigga get used to them. You know what? They never had nobody last long enough. Guess what? After Boss Man, you'll run Boss Man out of tricks. He ain't got 2, 3 more tricks left. He done run out of stuff. So, thank y'all very much. Are there any questions, any comments? No questions, no comments? Then, thank you very much. As-salamu alaykum. Okay, well, anyway.